ranks at the bottom. In January, staff presented our staffing levels compared to other cities. And as you can see by the graph, we have significantly less employees than many cities other than the area cities. As previously discussed, trending indicates that Gardner will be comparably sized with these cities in less than 10 years. As shown, city staffing is less than 1/2 to 1/3 of the staffing needs for a city of 40,000. With such a huge gap, we need to start making progress now. Your city administrator is not asking to close this gap all at once, but to begin building our capacity to prepare for growth, or the level of city services that your citizens have come to expect will be negatively impacted. We need to prepare for the growth, or we will be unprepared and frankly steamrolled like we were in the last growth wave. City Administrator Harrison Lee continues to assess the needs of the organization's ability for the capacity to implement best practices and achieve the governing body's strategic goals. She recommends adding these positions for the last half of 2013, which is a street maintenance worker and a police officer. And we discussed a network administrator, but that actually comes to the Internal Service Fund, IT Internal Service Fund, so it'll be spread among all departments and divisions. For 2014, she believes that we would benefit from a special projects manager that would assist with grants, economic development, marketing, branding, an administrative assistant to build internal clerical support, and that would be shared among the departments, 2 more police officers. And this budget also includes a 3% market and 1% merit pool for employees. As noted at the June 10th work session, GFOA recommends the unrestricted fund balance in the general fund be no less than 2 months of operating expenditures, or 16.67%. This summary includes the initiatives and staffing I just presented, and as you can see, the fund balance for the 5-year planning period exceeds the GFOA's recommendation. Let's talk about utilities. We'll start with water. Your Hillsdale plant was originally constructed in 1998 and expanded in 2006. Plant maintenance has been deferred at least a decade. This year, all the intake pumps failed on the same day. If it had been summer, we would have rationed water. And it would also create issues for the ability to fight fires. The high service pumps that move water from the plant to the city are the same age. In 2012, the water plant hit a peak of 90% of its full capacity. KDHE recommends beginning design of a plant expansion immediately when a plant is at 90% of capacity. In 2009, a study was done that recommended beginning design of a 4 million gallon per day treatment plant, which was estimated at $40 million for the plant and $40 million for an additional transmission main. Staff has identified a possible short-term alternative, which would be a 1 million gallon package plant with a second package plant in a few years. Each plant is estimated at approximately $1.1 million, and the estimated first debt payment on the first plant was included or is included in the 2014 water budget. It is assumed that these package plants will delay plant expansion for a number of years. Eventually, additional water production requires additional water storage. To support the governing body's strategic goal of infrastructure management, staff has identified some immediate projects to be funded in 2014. The first one is to update the piping at the Kill Creek Water Tower, approximately $55,000. If we don't update the piping, we will have a difficult time maintaining adequate chlorine levels in the tank. Painting the Hillsdale clear well for $100,000. If we don't paint it, cracks and leaks could get worse and will cause eventual failure. Failure means the plants will shut down until the clear well is fixed. This is obviously going to impact the city's water supply, and it would be a serious emergency. Equipment maintenance for $40,000. This is funding for major maintenance for any of the over 100 pumps at the plant. The water budget also includes the addition of a water plant operator and half of a line maintenance worker. The other half you'll see here in a minute in the wastewater budget. Wastewater. Your Kill Creek wastewater plant, the North Lift Station, and the force main were all constructed in 2002. Maintenance has been deferred for at least a decade. We have experienced seal failure and bearing issues on the aerators. We have failed controls that have been replaced with mechanical workarounds. This infrastructure is 11 years old and has been running nonstop. In addition to that, the city owns and operates 19 lift stations. 6 of those lift stations have peak flow over capacity. Development is limited in some areas without additional improvements. The line replacement program has been deferred since 2009. But due to the joint Bull Creek wastewater plant with Edgerton, the Kill Creek plant has sufficient capacity for the next 3 to 5 years. To support the governing body's strategic goal of infrastructure management, staff has identified some immediate projects to be funded in 2014. The first one is to repaint the storage tank at the North Lift Station for approximately $150,000. Without paint, the tank will get pinholes and it won't be able to be repaired. Tank replacement is estimated at $1 to $1.5 million, so it's 10 times as much to replace it instead of just painting it now. Removal of 167th Street temporary lift station. This lift station was designed to be temporary. It's been temporary for 10 years. It can be readily and easily replaced and will save approximately $25,000 a year in maintenance that can be reassigned. The wastewater budget also includes the addition of a plant operator and the other half of the line maintenance worker that we just talked about. The needed rate increase in 2014 for both water and wastewater is 12%. The 2014 rate increase will only cover the immediate needs and maintain the recommended fund balance of 12%. The impact of this combined rate increase to the average residential customer is 35 cents a day. Maintenance of the water and wastewater utilities has been underfunded for many years, creating significant maintenance concerns and limiting economic development opportunities. It will take several years of similar rate increases to get back in front of these challenges and be proactive instead of minimally reactive. We all know that water is essential for life. Sanitary sewer treatment is essential to public health, and people all over the world live without electricity. Because water and wastewater systems are critical to public health and welfare, the governing body has a responsibility to our citizens to address these needs. And we will talk more about other maintenance needs, and any expansion to support economic development will be brought back to you this fall when we talk about our CIP program.
Can I ask you a question? Or do you?
That's the rest of them here. You want to ask that again?
I just want to know about that 12% increase. That's like double what we had before, right?
We had 8. We usually had wastewater was 11 last year.
But I thought they were coming down in future years.
In a vacuum, what we did was undo some of the rosy growth projections. Rates are driven by growth. If you do not have growth, because remember the whole growth pays its own way. If we do not have growth, then we have to hit our residents that are here for rates. Rates are driven by last year's usage times a growth assumption. If you don't have that growth assumption, you still have these expenditures, these needs, set for the stuff that you already have. So you've got to come up with it somewhere. And we've talked about it going down in the out years because of the Bull Creek plant. It was going down to like, I don't know, 7 in a few years, and then it goes down. But if you want to be proactive and start addressing economic expansion, start addressing all the things that you've deferred for the last 10 years, you have got to start re-implementing these